let Mr. Mayor take over.
Good evening and welcome to the May 10th, 2022 Briar City Council meeting. Proceed to a roll call. Councilmember Gallagher.
Here.
Councilmember Krinky.
Here.
Councilmember Lockhart.
Here.
Councilmember Marley.
Here.
Councilmember Moran.
Here.
Councilmember Nick.
Here.
And Councilmember Roseman.
Here.
All right, welcome everyone. Now we'll proceed to the public requests and oral communication portion of the meeting. This is the portion when citizens can address the council or myself with questions. If you would like to address the council or myself, please raise your hand. All right, one more time. This is the public requests and oral communications portion of the meeting. If you would like to address myself or the council, please raise your hand and we'll join you as a panelist. All right, Paula, do you see any?
You got nothing.
Okay. All right, moving on to reports of committees and city officials. So I'll start. I've been meeting with the Snohomish County mayors, South Snohomish County, and the mayors of Snohomish County when with the executive, talking about different issues coming to our county. The letter from the Snohomish County mayors that I started and is now being revised and added to with the help of some of the staff in the city of Everett is in draft form, basically talking about some of the concerns that we have with respect to policing in our county. And I passed that on to our chief, and he can comment on it a little bit later on in the meeting. But it's definitely an area of concern. Rising crime, other issues with respect to the legislature. So that letter is coming out soon. I'm meeting with, and some of the other mayors with Representative Larson later on in the week. Rick Larson, our congressman. That's about it. Anything else? Meetings or other reports?
April 27th, I met with down at Public Works and had a good discussion with the team. Travis's last day is right there at the beginning of June. That's going to be definitely a big loss. His different skills from mechanics to all the other work and all that. So that's going to be hard shoes to fill. And of course, I think we're still looking for also another public works person. So yes, we'll be down to, not counting the summer, seasonal labor that we're trying to land. So Steve and crew are going to be a little bit taxed on that front. Also, we got into a little discussion, which led to some of my thinking in that proposal last week on the finance stuff, was that we should probably start trying to put together a list of the different machinery and help give visibility to that as to what's coming, because I still think that street sweeper is only a few years old, but it isn't, and they're now about double what we paid the first time around. So that's we got a few of those types of things to contend with. So anyway, but a good conversation with them.
Thank you, Martin. Others?
Community Transit Board meeting last Thursday, and open house with Community Transit today, as well as doing the checks.
Thank you, Mike. Others? Nothing? All right. Let's see, moving on to approval of minutes. I'd entertain a motion for the minutes of April 26th.
I'll make that motion to approve of those Briar City Council minutes of April 26, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion by Nick, a second by Lockhart. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. And the motion passes.
And Mr. Mayor, I would move approval of Briar City Council workshop minutes of May 3rd, 2022.
Second.
Motion by Gallagher, second by Marley. Any discussion to the motion? May 3rd?
Just an observation and looking at the minutes. I did not see any mention in there of just the issue that Martin was bringing up. I know at that workshop meeting, we discussed the departure of Travis. I know Paula was looking for some advice or thoughts about the continued paying of job ads, and of course, what we're going to do to recruit people to fill those positions. So I didn't see that on the minutes. I didn't know if that was worthy of being noted or not.
Typically, I don't think we get into that level of detail. Right,
No,
Paula?
Not on workshop minutes, no.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. And the motion passes. Okay, consent agenda. Item number 7. These are items that we have discussed as a council in workshop once or sometimes twice. And so I would entertain a motion.
How do you want it? The whole consent or?
Let's do them one at a time, please.
I'll make a motion on item A to consider to approve the police contract with Chad RIDOUT for lieutenant.
Second.
We have a motion by Nick, a second by Gallagher. Any discussion to this motion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay.
I will
And motion
abstain.
passes. What was that?
I will abstain.
Okay, one abstention. The motion passes with one abstention. Consideration of the scope and fee by Pace Engineering for the DECANT facility and replacement. We have our Pace city engineer, John Forba, available. So I would entertain a motion on that.
I believe we have Robin with us as well, if any questions
Oh,
come
okay.
up that I can pull him into the meeting too.
Okay. First of all, a motion.
Do we want to have a overage on the total projected budget for this? It was 314,781.
Hmm,
Should we do 320?
Paula, do we need to do that?
You know, it never hurts because sometimes unexpected things come up. So yeah, if you want to round it to 320, that would be.
Well, I think we've got what, 30% for cost increases? If I'm not
There was
mistaken.
at the time this was put together, yes.
But that was a year ago, and we've seen just a little bit of change financially.
Little. All right.
Internal
I would,
Percentage wise, yeah.
move to approve the scope and fee Pace Engineering for the DECANT facility replacement in the amount not to exceed $320,000.
Second.
We have a motion by Marley, a second by Crinky. Any discussion to the motion? Or any questions for John? He's here with us.
I think we did great last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to absorb. It's a lot of money, but we did some other review in-house this week and answered some questions, and it's something that's costly, but it's something that we really need. And this opportunity for the grant that Mr. Forba found for us is, in my opinion, we don't want to risk losing that. So if hearing no other discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And the motion passes.
Exciting Tuesday night for you, John.
Very exciting. No, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to see it fast.
Lockhart.
All right, item C.
I'll move to approve the grant with the Department of Ecology for the DECANT facility replacement.
Second.
Second,
All right, we have a motion by Roseman, a second by, I believe it was Lockhart.
That's who I thought too.
Okay. Any discussion to the motion?
Just our thanks for pursuing the grant.
Yeah, it's very important, substantial
Huge.
part of the cost, so.
Yes,
Thanks, John.
welcome. My pleasure.
All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. And the motion passes. Thank you, John. Thank you, Robin. And you're welcome to stick around for the exciting part of the meeting, or you can leave. All right, moving on to hearings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
See
Thank
John.
you.
Thanks, John.
Under hearings, we have a public hearing in consideration for a home occupation business located at 3408 214th Street Southwest by Christine Price for Chris's Place Daycare.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, if I might, I just want to note two things. One, I was within the 300 feet. I did receive a notice on this. I am also friends with Christine, so I just wanted to
Okay.
make the public aware of that.
Okay, so thank you, Martin. Carrie is with us from the staff. If you want to introduce the, I'll open the public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at 7:11, and then Carrie, if you could introduce the consideration of this home occupation.
Sure. Yeah. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
This public hearing is about, of course, the application for Chris's Place Daycare. It's been operating since, as far as I could see, since 1983. She has facility daycare up to 12 children and 3 assistants or employees working with her. And then there is 8 designated parking spots for people dropping off and employees, and she has ample room for all of it. Of course, she resides at the property, so this is her home daycare. I would like to bring it to you guys' attention that she did let her license lapse during the pandemic. So this is why she's back in front of doing a public hearing and trying to get her license redone. Eric did go out and do an inspection, and she passed with flying colors, and so she's all good there. And so she's just ready to roll again, I guess.
All right, thank you, Carrie. So tonight we have the applicant with us. Chris, you're welcome to address the council if you'd like to say a few words, or you don't have to, because
I don't have to raise my hand.
You don't have to raise your hand, no.
Okay. It wasn't that, it's just, it was also the whole changeover on how you renew your license. I didn't realize it was going through the state. I'm always, been doing it for so long. I was so used to getting the letter from Briar that it's time to renew my license. And with the pandemic, it didn't register that I hadn't gotten the letter. Also, I only have 2 employees plus myself. So I don't know if that, because you had indicated 3, but there's three of us that work here. There's, I have been doing it for childcare here since 1985. Or no, since 1983, but I've been licensed since 85 through the state with my daycare license.
All right, thank you for that. With that, I will open the public hearing is open. If someone would like to address this home occupation permit or business license, please raise your hand and we'll welcome you to the panel. So one more time, this is the public hearing for Chris's Place Daycare. If someone would like to express an opinion for or against now or ask a question, please raise your hand. All right, do you see any, Paula? I don't see any.
I do not.
All right, I am going to, with that in mind, close the public hearing at 7:15. Any discussion to this? Or I guess I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the home occupation business license 602113948 located at 3408 214th Street Southwest for Chris's Place Daycare.
Second that motion.
We have a motion by Marley, a second by Nick to approve the home occupation. Any discussion to the motion?
Question from me.
Yes.
And I don't know, this might be directed, perhaps Carrie, you can help me, or Chris, either one of you can handle this one. In the application, Carrie, that you provided us, there's mention of the floor area of the home occupation shall include only the floor area used for performing paperwork for the operation, which is approximately 40 square feet. So help me to understand that. You've got
Right.
bunch of kids and folks and a couple of
Yeah.
boys, and 40 square feet seems like some pretty tight living to me. I'm
My
not
whole,
sure.
if Fred
Yeah.
was still around, he'd have had a conniption fit because it's the whole house.
It is the whole house, but according to our,
Yeah.
the code, we're only licensing where she does her paperwork.
Yep.
And so that's the home occupation license, is where basically her home office. It doesn't,
I
it's
got
not their whole living area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm relieved.
Yes.
Because I'm right now in full, so it's like,
Yeah.
40
Adult family homes run into the same type of
Yeah.
scenario.
Thank you for doing what you do, Chris. I volunteered as a young man. It's not easy. So thank you.
All right, any other discussion to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And the motion passes. Congratulations, Chris.
Yes.
I won't let it lapse again.
Okay, you don't want to go. You don't want to go
I don't
through.
want to go through this all over again.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's very stressful.
As soon as you let
Congratulations
Eric
on
in your
39
house, it's
years,
all,
Chris.
you know.
Yeah.
A house full of kids, and she calls this stressful. I don't get it.
Well, and the youngest I have two infants right now that are basically 5 and 6 months old, and then the rest are 5 and down.
All right, well, thank you. for your
Forward to
service.
you.
No, thanks.
All right. Okay. Bye.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you,
Chris.
Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks,
All
Gary.
right, miscellaneous business by council members and city officials. We're gonna bring our chief in as we do during our meetings, and I'm gonna welcome him in a second here.
Did Carrie sign off? I wanted to congratulate her for all of
Oh,
us.
she's still on, but she's not as a panelist, but go ahead.
Just way to go, Carrie.
There we go. Paula, do you want to explain what Mike's talking about?
Well, I believe I included everybody on that email, so all of you would have
Mhm.
seen it. Carrie achieved her certified municipal clerk status last week. And that's very exciting because it took me a lot longer to get mine than it took her to get hers. You have hours of training that are required. Normally, you have to attend these 3-week-long courses. And because of the pandemic, Carrie had completed the first year and the second year. And then, or is that right? Yeah, I think so. And then we had her doing online courses to try and get those points that she needed. We had her go ahead and do the 3rd course online, and then, she attended the clerks conference with me this year, and, her experience for her years at Leavenworth and then with us counted towards her getting her certificate. And even though she's completed the online version, We are sending her to the in-person version of week 3 because just my opinion, because I've been through it, you get so much more being immersed in that week-long training, and actually having the people there to, because everything was just a couple hours here, a couple hours there online, and online training is not the best training. But I'm super proud of her. She's doing the things that need to be done, so that if I get hit by a bus, she can step in and help take over me and my proverbial bus. It was a Jeep, but who's counting, right?
Yeah, no, this is all good news for the city, and we congratulate Carrie for that. And one of my goals as a mayor is to that I'm relatively unsuccessful at is getting more stuff away from Paula and more stuff to other staff. So that continues to be a goal of mine that I'm working on, but this is an achievement for Carrie that helps move toward that direction. So anyway, and I think this is now Carrie Paula and Carrie both can say no to the mayor. Is that right, Paula?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, so now there's 2 of them.
That applied anyways. So
Yeah, that's just 2 of them that can say no to me.
If I'm not here, she's supposed to pretend she's me.
Okay, got that straight. All right, we have the chief with us. Chief Omquist continues to please City Hall with things that he's doing, the people that he's bringing on, the great things that are happening in the department with the new officers. So super excited about his work. And so Chief, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you. And hello to everybody. I hope you guys had a great day. It turned out to be beautiful.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah. So this week, it's only day 2, but it's been a very productive week. Yesterday, myself and Lieutenant RIDOUT attended a meeting at the Snohomish County Courthouse with a program called LEAD, which is Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion. This is a program that's been in Snohomish County for about 2 years. And initially they were focusing on other players. Of course, I wasn't here 2 years ago to know why Briar wasn't a part of this, but what I do know is they received additional funding, quite a bit of funding, about $2.3 million worth of funding. So they're expanding it to all agencies in South Snohomish County. And so yesterday in attendance was us and Bothell, Malik Terrace, Edmonds. There was a representative from Everett, even though they're already in it, as well as the prosecutor's office. And this is basically what it might sound like, a diversion program. So it's taking low-level crime. An example would be trespassing, shoplifting, everything that's nonviolent at a misdemeanor, gross misdemeanor level, so non-felony. And so example is if we go to the Briar Market and somebody is caught shoplifting, what the officer would do is they would run their name in our New World system to make sure that they were they had nonviolence in their past. And what they do is they call a 1-800 number that's answered 24/7. And if we want, not them saying yes, but if we want them to be in this diversion program, they will respond within 30 minutes with a caseworker. So we fill out everything online, so there's no paper trail, or it's paperless, I should say. And they come and they start working with these people to help them diversion wise through not having to go through the court process, but yet through programs that can help them deal with what they're doing. And what I liked about this program was that they just didn't go and focus in on, okay, you committed theft. If you do this, this, and this, we won't file the charges. What they do first is they call it care under hurt, I think it's called. And they basically assess, hey, let's talk about the crime in a minute, but how are you? How are you mentally? How are you financially? What is getting you in this place? So they really try and figure out some human resource to this before they deal with exactly what the crime is and how they can walk through the process without going to court. So, and there's time constraints and there's things that these folks have to do to comply. They have 14 days to comply. They have to do, there is no hand holding in this process. So they drop off, they can come back in. And they've done about 320 cases in the last 2 years. And they currently have about 100 active cases. So they have quite a few caseworkers. And what I really liked also about this is we had the similar thing in King County, which was a complete failure. And the main failure piece was the response. It was called a crisis response center, which they never responded. And if they did, it was like 2 to 3 hours out. So another beauty piece of this is the officer calls them to the Briar Market. And once that caseworker and the officer feel comfortable and the caseworker feels comfortable, the officer can leave. So they're not tied up at this particular place for a couple hours, let's say. So that's also helpful considering hours of the night and potentially when we only have one on, and if other calls come out, we don't have to worry about that. So they have this program down really pat. When I do a comparison, I'm pretty excited about it. And I was like, where do I sign up for this? Because this is beautiful. But I also know that Briar isn't going to have a lot of activity and they don't care. So it's all about helping those that need it at that time. The other piece to this is what they call a social contact, where you find maybe it's not that we have a lot of homeless, but let's say you find somebody that is homeless, or it could be a household that has issues within, and these are for 18 and over, not juvenile related, but households that are having problems. You can do a social contact where you talk to these people and know I'm gonna fill out some resource for you. You send it electronically, and these people contact them within 30 minutes. And sometimes it's in person, sometimes it's not, but they're getting resources quickly and at their disposal. So that was a really good meeting and networking as well. Well, today we launched the, I don't know about not the very first, but we launched the Briar Police Facebook page. And I'm thankful for the mayor understanding that we need it, and Paula. And so that was launched today, and you can go check it out. It's in its infancy right now, obviously. But we're very excited about disseminating a lot of the programs, the programming, and the good things that we're going to be doing to the community, because we really didn't have an outlet other than our own city webpage. And a lot of people, they just don't go to city government web pages for their what's going on in the community per se these days. I'm hopeful if we get a new carrier for our webpage, that will maybe become more of an attraction. But right now we needed this for putting out all the things that we got going on this summer. And we're pretty excited because we met with the Parks Board, 2 members of the Parks Board, Ken Overstreet and his sister, I keep forgetting her name, Karen. Marla. LT RIDOUT and I did, and we talked about National Night Out and Sea Scare and Sea Cucumber, or Scare Kids and all, and Music in the Park. And so it was really good kind of meeting with them. And tomorrow night, Chad is going to be on the Parks Board meeting also to discuss the police department's activities this summer. So related to National Night Out, that is ramping up big time. Chad and I are going full throttle on pinning down vendors, pinning down hot dogs and buns and bands and jumpy houses and face painting and all those various things, car show folks, and meeting with Eric Beverly to map it all out. So we're really excited. We're already got the flyers printed out today, or at least a draft of it. So part of what we're going to be doing through National Night Out is a couple of things, and some of them are going to be preemptive of National Night Out. Through National Night Out, we're going to launch 2 programs this year. One of them is called Dog Walker Watch. And so we have a lot of people that are walking around the community, they're walking their dogs. And in July, we're going to have a community meeting to those that are interested, and we're going to be publicizing it to come and see if they want to sign up for this Dog Watcher Watch. And essentially what we do is, you think of it as a neighborhood watch program, like Mr. Gallagher, I think, was a part of, and or maybe it was Ken Overstreet, but you can train them to look for suspicious activity, to actually call 911 when they see suspicious activity. And they make it kind of fun because they give them dog bandanas that say Dog Watcher Watch, and they can sign up for, or they can buy t-shirts and so forth. So we're going to turn this into like a neighborhood watch, but a dog walker watch. So that's going to be fun. And the other thing we're doing is something called Project 365. And that is a program in which we're going to identify something in the city of Briar that has some crime prevention lacking elements to it. This could be one of our parks. This could be a particular neighborhood. And we're going to identify issues within that area. And we're going to draw the community support to help us engage to make that place better. So some of the examples would be is one of our parks that might be smaller. Let's say it doesn't have a lot of lighting. Let's say the vegetation's overgrown, because, you know, our parks department, their employees, they're down so many and they can only do so much. And with the lack of interest in summer help, we're going to probably see some of that, unfortunately, where our parks aren't cut as often or looking as trim, but that's just the product of what we're going through right now. So it could be something like that, where we bring the community together to clean up a certain area or identify problems and ask for their help. So those are 2 programs that we're launching this year through National Night Out. And we're really excited about it. Chad is building a subcommittee for that. Councilman Nick is going to be on it. He doesn't know that. And there's going to be a community member. There's going to be a business owner that's already asked to assist, and then a member of the Parks Board, and then a couple members of the PD that are going to be on this to basically build National Night Out and all these programs that we kind of talked about, just as for guidance and for input. Let me think here. I'll go over the stats here in a minute, or maybe that's later on the presentation, Mayor. I'm not sure.
Anytime. Now's fine, Nick.
Okay. All right. I think that's about it right now for kind of what we've been doing. Training is going good with Lieutenant RIDOUT and Officer Holly, and they're all in track. And I'm not sure if any of you know this, but as of May 30th, we will no longer be using Snohomish County Sheriff to backfill us. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've had good discussions with their under sheriffs, and just thanking them for, and I'll do it personally to Sheriff Fortney, but thanking them for all their support and help through this transition period. But I'm very happy to report that you will not see any Snohomish County Sheriff's Department assisting us any longer after May 30th. So that's good. Sorry. I don't know. Do you have the stats in front of you, everybody? I'm hoping you do. Okay. So this is going to be our first look. It's going to change for you all, but this is going to be our first look at stats. And I want to be able to do this quarterly. And if there's ever a time that you wanted to have this be anything sooner, like monthly, I'm more than willing to do that. But this is a good comparison. And if you'll notice, there isn't a lot of change. I think mostly because we've kind of been running with about the same until we've staffed up. And There's only a couple that have increased maybe significantly more than others. The thefts, as you can see, went up about 9, and we did have a rash this year. I can't remember what month, it might have been last month, where we catalytic converters are on the rise, as everybody knows. So that, along with kind of a rash of car prowls that we had, that bumped those numbers up a little bit. And then our investigative follow-ups. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we've had some pretty significant cases that have happened this first quarter that have required more follow-ups. And I think it's also about, I've encouraged the officers to do more follow-up and to not just take the case and write it up and send it in when there's other things that we can do about it. There's always more things that we can do about it. And they have the luxury of time to be able to do these follow-ups. So some of that partially is that I've changed their way of investigating things to dig deeper and see if there isn't more to a certain case. So, but for the most part, as you can see, everything has relatively stayed the same, changes here and there. Does anybody have any questions about the stats? They're not overwhelming.
You might have answered the question because maybe it was in April and not Q1. I was surprised in the vehicle prowls. Just that number surprisingly low. But you mentioned the catalytic conversion, but maybe that was in April. But it just based on, part of it's the chatter and just what I seem to recall historically, but we haven't been getting these reports. So admittedly, it's a little hard to know, which I greatly appreciate. I know I was asking about getting this early on would be awesome. So this is really helpful.
Yeah.
But that was just, I guess, more of an observation, probably more than you have any insight on it. But
I know personally, I've taken 2 catalytic converter thefts just myself. So, and that's just helping out here and there when I've had to cover the street, or if one of the officers is backed up on something, I'll snag a call and take the call for them. So, and unfortunately, it is on the rise all over the place. So,
Toyota pickup trucks you can slide under them and out in 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, seconding Martin's comments, I sure appreciate the information.
Any other questions for the chief?
Yeah, Chief, I have a question about the LEAD program implementation. Is that an opt-in, opt-out? How does that work?
It actually is. Agencies can choose to not participate, and I don't know who isn't or who wouldn't. I don't have any of that data. They are coming next Monday to do a briefing to all the officers at 4 o'clock, just so that Chad and I heard about it today and we can give them all the information we had, but the other officers will probably have additional questions. So it is an opt-in program. It costs us $0 to do it. And I think it's just a great thing.
Well, my concern is this: if the implementation has been in Everett for 2 years, have we seen a downtick in low-level crimes, nonviolent crimes in Everett over the last 24 months? Because my answer would be no.
That'd be no, absolutely not.
So what would lead us to believe, based on whatever mistakes they made in King County, that's a pretty open door, but what would lead us to believe that those would be corrected? A, and B, does Sheriff Fortney endorse this program?
He does. He does endorse it.
Because it does sound like it falls under the reimagining police bucket to me.
I would say so. I would say so. And a lot of these, like the crisis response, has been around prior to a lot of the reform. But as you pointed out, they're making them stronger and more available. And they're putting a lot more money into the reform side of crime.
Well, Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, implemented this first, and it's been an absolute unmitigated disaster. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents. I have great concern with that. I think the people the constituency should vote on something like that. You are changing law enforcement for taxpayers. And I think that's something that should be voted on personally.
I think one nuance here that I did appreciate versus even some of the stuff that Seattle's having to deal with, for example, is that it's our officers' discretion, chief, to look at this and say, do we want to engage? So some of these challenges where we might have, we'll call it frequent flyers, we're probably not getting that same intervention type of situation when they pull them up in the system. So I did like that at least it's more in the hands of the officer, it sounds like, from what the chief is saying on making those decisions rather than it's showing up on a judge's desk or something else and they going, oh yeah, just kick it over here.
This is officer initiated. So once it gets into the obviously the prosecutor's on board with understanding why maybe charges would be delayed. So if there's non-compliance by the person that committed said crime, and then 3 weeks later, after the fact, the prosecutors seeing these charges come through when in reality is most law enforcement's practices is that you get your reports done, either that day or the next day, and then you forward the type of crime reporting to the prosecutor's office. They're going to notate, as well as in our New World system, that they are involved or they're active in the LEAD program. So this also is helpful, Councilman Lockhart, to some legislation we have with the new drug laws, where you have to give somebody a warning and then another warning. And then on the third time that you might find them in possession of a narcotic, then you can charge them. So this is another way that we can track a warning system. So if I give somebody a warning in Briar, and at least in Snohomish County, or those that use New World, and somebody an officer in Stanwood finds this same guy, he goes, oh, this will be your second warning because I see the one that you got it from Briar, or you've already had two, so now I'm going to actually file charges on you. So it also is assisting that, because there's supposed to be a mechanism in place, and the mayor's letter addresses this, where in Snohomish County, or even statewide, there is not a great way for us to show that we have warned somebody on a drug issue. So I think indirectly it's helping that legislative piece, but it's obviously not their main focus. But I hear you, Mr. Lockhart.
Is this something that we sign on to, and it's any pseudo contractual situation?
No, when I was kind of joking when I said, where do I sign? But it's just a matter of us utilizing their services. Yeah.
So there's no real downside to involving ourselves with this lead system, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, there potentially could be, because you're bringing a social work into a setting that is unpredictable, and we do not know what's going to happen in that moment. And we can try to train them in the situations. Law enforcement officers are trained far better than social workers. So that's a concern that not many talk about. So we could potentially be putting people in harm's way unnecessarily. That's just my 2 cents. I'm not suggesting that there's not a potential silver lining here, but this, in my opinion, the soft on crime approach grade experiment is failing miserably. I mean, just ask your neighbors. They want to live in a safe community. And I'm more of a tough love, sorry, I'll just stop.
No, I understand.
Anybody else?
Chief Don Moran here. Thank you for the data. I'm intrigued. I like looking at the numbers. I'm glad to see that the numbers are flat and the crimes are, I guess, misdemeanor crimes for the most part. So it's a good thing that they're stable. I think we've seen a 5% jump since last year, this first quarter, which isn't bad. COVID has gone away, so to speak, and people are out in the streets more often. So it doesn't seem to be a Herculean leap in crime, so to speak. But the 2 questions I have are simply about just the workflow, how the work is dispersed. That's one question. And then the issue is also maybe to talk about one particular item that seems to be the the buzz, at least among citizens, when I'm out walking the streets every day, walking the neighborhoods, excuse me. 1,112 calls for the quarter. That's 90 days. That works out to about 12.3 calls per day. Is that a composite of both 911 calls and then just direct phone calls to the police department directly from our citizens?
These are self-generated and citizen-generated.
So it's the aggregate then, an entirety. Okay. So, and then that's about 12.3 calls per day. If I divide that between 4 officers, that's about 3 calls per officer per day. If it's divided between 6 officers, which I guess would include maybe the sheriff, it's averaging about 2 calls per officer per day. Does that sound familiar?
Well,
The metric you'd be targeting?
No, so you'd have to cut that in half, because if you're talking per day, we only have, let's say, 3 officers on a 24-hour period at some point during the day. So
it
wouldn't be the entire police department divided by.
Okay. All right. And then the other thing is that the traffic issue in particular, I'm looking at the traffic stops. That seems to be the largest bulk of activity, 416 stops versus 460. So the volume's down a little bit this quarter versus last year. But if I'm reading the numbers, it looks like there's something called traffic warnings versus traffic stops. And it looks like about 80%, could be that 80% of the traffic interactions are actually warnings and not infractions?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that a good target from your perspective as a law enforcement officer?
Well, if you want me to put my motor officer days on, that would be terrible. But because motor officers don't give warnings. But if you look at it from the perspective of us being looking at, and you got to think too, is that think of a school zone where the speed limit's 20, and let's say there are not more than, there isn't just like 1 or 2 kids, but let's say it's pretty active, and you stop somebody for going 25 over. You might just give that person a warning. So, but if they're going, let's say, 8 or more over, you might write that ticket. So a lot of our traffic stops that are made, but are obviously largely warnings. And some of these warnings could be not just for speed, but they could be for registrations or headlights or something other. So I mean, I look at that and go, we're very proactive, and I've heard this more than a dozen times since I've been here that Briar is known for, if you speed, you're going to get caught. So I look at this as not only are they out there being very proactive, but they're also being very discretionary when it comes to actually physically writing the tickets. Not everybody likes to write tickets. Not every police officer likes to do crashes. I mean, there's more paperwork as you go along. So they would much rather, unless it's something heinous, give a warning. And the beauty of that too is that they are all tracked. So if you get a warning from an officer, it's in the system as like, hey, you got a warning for speeding last month, probably gonna give you a little bit more this time because you didn't learn your lesson per se. So,
all right, thanks.
All right, any other questions for the chief? All right, thank you, Chief. I just want to report that the chief and I attended the Department of Emergency Management meeting today. We are on the advisory board for that. So that takes the place of ESCA, what used to be a meeting in our city. So in case there's an emergency in our city or in the county, this is the meeting that we attend to be prepared, and part of that organization, actually Chief is the vice chair of that commission. So I just want to report that we are also involved, and our chief's involved in that too. Appreciate your work, Chief. And Thank you very much. All right, moving on to, unless anybody else has any miscellaneous business. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to auditing of accounts. Mr. Gallagher.
Well, this evening I would move for approval of April 2022 payroll checks, number 43630 through numbers 43634, and EFT transactions in the amount of $137,320.47.
Second that motion, Mike.
We have a motion by Gallagher, a second by Nick. Any discussion to the motion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. And the motion passes.
And I would similarly move approval of April 2022 claim checks, number 43674 through numbers 43709 in the amount of $141,836.58, and voided check number 43609 for the reason of incorrect vendor, reissued with check number 43673.
Second.
Motion by Gallagher, second by Lockhart. Any discussion of the motion?
Could I get some clarification on check 43691, Public Utilities, King County, $87,799? What is
Right
that?
water.
That is our sewer bill.
Sewer.
To King County. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sewer.
they're
There's
gonna
part-
haul that shit out to the
directions.
street, you know,
There's part to Alderwood as well.
and Alderwood, yeah.
Yeah, two different directions because of where we sit on the hill.
Okay.
Things
Got
flow
it.
downhill different ways. Sorry, Val.
That was a twofer.
Okay, good.
It's
I have a
true.
quick one. 43701, the emergency management, was that the conference that you attended, or is that like a regular payment that we make?
Taking that EMS,
43701 to the Snohomish County Department of Emergency Management.
yeah,
Yes,
that's
that's
our,
quarterly.
yeah.
That's the quarterly. Okay, I didn't know if there was a contribution for the conference.
Okay, good question. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying
Aye.
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 any opposed, say nay, and the motion passes. We will be having a workshop a week from tonight to discuss the RFA with South County Fire. That will be the primary focus of next week's workshop. We will not be talking about the police car leasing program. I didn't want to stack up too much into that meeting because the discussions with South County Fire, you know, we've been through this before, they are significant. It's a significant thing that we're going to be facing, and I wanted to give it ample time so we get our questions answered. There'll be additional information forthcoming for that meeting. All right. Anything else, Paula?
I do not believe so.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Have a blessed night. Take care.
Good night.
Night.
Well, you